Mark Rogers TV rating every college football schedule, 1 through 67. So that's the Power 5 plus BYU, Notre Dame, and Army. And speaking of the Cougars, we've got them right here. This was the most difficult schedule to analyze in college football for several reasons. So, again, you got three major independents, so you can't liken their schedule easily to anyone else's schedule. So I've got a 9-step process that I used in evaluating these schedules, and one is obviously within the conference. You can rate easily the Big 12 because they all play each other. So that's predominantly the same schedule for everyone except you don't play yourself. It's a similar situation in the Pac-12 where they play 9 of 11 opponents within the conference, and then it's more difficult to analyze in the ACC, the Big 10, and the SEC. All right, it's very difficult when we talk BYU because Notre Dame plays such a difficult schedule that they have games against everyone within that 67-team field. But BYU, they're all over the map. So they open up basically a Pac-12 schedule against Arizona, Utah, and UCLA, 2 of those games in Provo. That's pretty difficult. You're taking on 3 of the top 40 teams in the country right there. Arizona, Utah, UCLA. Okay, then they've got a date in the Big 12 against West Virginia, another top 40 type club. They've got Michigan State in East Lansing later in the season, October 8th. They've got Mississippi State, a good, solid SEC team that's probably not going to be quite as good as they were in 2015. A dated Boise State. So BYU's top-level competition is pretty darn high. You've got some weak spots on here, though. Toledo's decent out of the MAC, but we're talking about Power 5 scheduling, so it's just not going to rate as well as most of the games the other teams have to play. But Toledo's formidable. They've got a date against Cincinnati, and again, Cincinnati's not going to rate too highly against the type teams we're talking about in rating these 67 schedules, but still a solid American Athletic Conference team that looks to get to postseason play after winning 7 games last year. But Southern Utah, UMass, and Utah State to conclude the season really weigh down this schedule. So I made the comparisons, went through the 9-step process, and here it is. BYU's got the 55th rated schedule in the country, but it's probably the most unique and most interesting schedule in college football. So I'll give that to the Cougars, and it's impossible to schedule 12 formidable games when you're in the position that BYU is. They're not Notre Dame, and they're not in a conference. So, again, what a hodgepodge of a schedule. Very interesting. Arizona at Utah, UCLA, West Virginia, Toledo, at Michigan State, Mississippi State, Boise State. So there's a 3-game stretch that will really test anyone in the country. At Michigan State, Mississippi State, at Boise State. And then, hey, if they can make it through the first 8 games, let's say 5-3, then BYU's in good shape to finish in the top 25 because they finish up at Cincinnati, Southern Utah, UMass, and Utah State. The 55th rated and most difficult to analyze schedule in the country belongs to BYU. Please join us right here on Mark Rogers TV. We're rating the schedules 67 all the way to number 1. And add your comments right here on Mark Rogers TV.